Welcome in to another edition of the James Boyd Podcast. I, of course, am James Boyd. Jump on my editor, Jim Aiello. And Jim, the Colts are 2-0 for the first time since 2009. So, where were you? What were you doing? Were you partying like it was 2009, back in 2009? I don't know. It's crazy.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about that. Where was I in 2009? God, not covering the Colts and probably not caring that they had started 2-0, but this team is hard to ignore, man. Like, I mean, shoot, I felt like back then 2009, the Colts you just expect by 2009 with the Colts, you were just like just give me the playoffs. We'll see how Peyton Manning does there. Like that's
Exactly.
it. They're going to win 12, 13 games. How they get there is how they get there. Obviously, I know things went a little differently a little bit pretty soon after that, but anyway.
Yeah, I
No,
mean,
it's been
two,
wild.
2009 for the Colts, that was Peyton Manning's like fourth MVP year. So by that
Mm,
point, they were great. That year, they
yeah.
started, I believe, 14-0, went to the Super Bowl, lost to the Saints, but they were rolling. They were in the prime of the Peyton Manning era. And then for me, 2009, I was in eighth grade without any
Okay.
bills, thinking I was going to the NBA. Life was great. Life was great. Now I got, I got to schedule, flu shots, and I'm no longer bringing home my physical for my parents to, get that all squared away with my coach and my PE teachers, anything like that. But obviously, over the last couple of days here in Indianapolis, people are feeling really good after
Yeah.
another crazy game. Actually, I can't say another because the first game was just crazy with how they won because it was so
Yeah. It's
lopsided.
beat
This
down.
one,
Yeah.
the craziness was at the end. So I guess let's start with that, and then we'll get into obviously Daniel Jones playing well, Jonathan Taylor, Cam Bynum in the celebrations and other things of that nature, and then also push us ahead to look ahead to see what can they do to ultimately move to 3-0 on the season. But starting off, Jim, that
Yeah.
finish.
You're starting off negative. I can't believe it. All the positive vibes, you're going to go
No,
negative
it's
here.
not negative because they won. I just think that the finish itself
I
was
know how you feel.
crazy. Like I've never. I mean, yeah, I first of all to give you all the behind the scenes. So, and Jim knows this. So every week when I'm at the game, I have to file what we call our quick takeaway. So this is
Hmm.
basically 300 words, give or take, on what I just watched, and it's right at the end of the game, right at the gun. The only problem with that, Jim, is when you don't know how the game has ended or
Yep.
will end.
The
So
worst. It's the worst
on one
feeling in the
hand,
world.
yeah, on one hand, I'm like, oh man, do I write something to like crush them for losing this game?
Yeah.
Or do I write something that they won? And so we went with the they won version after one of the most bizarre sequences you'll ever see. So you all already know the story, but we'll just recap it really quick here. Colts get the ball, they're down by two, they get past midfield. Shane Steichen inexplicably stops throwing the ball. They run it, they get stuffed a couple of times, sets up a 60-yard field goal for Spencer Schrader, and he misses. Game over. Colts lose. I'm thinking to myself, wow, 98% of that game, 99% of that game, the Colts offense played so well. Shane Steichen called such a great game, and you blew it, but you did not because the Broncos got flagged for a leverage penalty, Jim. Basically, meaning they illegally tried to block the kick by jumping on
Yeah.
somebody else, which you can't do, and propelling yourself up off of somebody's like back or shoulder. You can't do that. So they move it up. Not only is that a flag, you get moved up 15 yards, 45-yarder this time. Spencer Schrader kicks it through the uprights. The Colts win. The Broncos probably feel like they just snatched defeat out of the jaws of victory. And on the
100%.
Colts sideline, they're 2-0 for the first time in 16 years. So all of that, Jim, as I'm closing the laptop, running down to the elevator, trying to figure out what happened. What was your reaction as someone who saw it on TV? Because I didn't hear the broadcast call until maybe like the next day,
Yeah, no, I had literally looked away after he missed the field. I saw it sail right.
right?
And then my next thought was, well, did he get the distance? Nope. Came up way short.
Yeah,
I was like,
it was
all
not
right.
close.
So, like you, I had moved on. I was starting to get, I was trying to get like your file ready. I was going to see what your takeaways look like, and because not that I added those, but again, not that anybody cares about that. But I know I was honestly just starting to I started to jot down ideas about the story, and number one on the list was what the hell was Shane Steichen doing at the end of that game? Like, I can't. Again, I don't want to go too negative because they're 2-0 and they won, and they're going to go 14-0 like those 2009 Colts. But I just want to I'm looking at this now. I pulled up the play by play. I mean, Daniel Jones throws a nice, I mean, a really nice pass to Alec Pierce for 7 yards on a tight window and makes it happen to get a
Third and
first down.
six, gotta
Third and
have it.
six. Yeah. And he hits it with a minute 50 left. And they still have, well, how many timeouts do they have in their pocket still?
They have
Two?
three.
I think three. Okay, yeah, there you go. So I thought, hey, move the ball down the field. Just keep roll. This offense has been rolling. It is I mean, this is not exaggerating. They are the best offense in football right now in EPA per drive, in points per drive, in almost any metric you want. They haven't punted. Rigoberto Sanchez has the best job in Indianapolis right now. He doesn't have to do his job. He just sits there. I mean, I know he holds. I know. But still, you have the best, most efficient offense in football right now. And you decide, instead of trusting Daniel Jones and keeping the offense in rhythm, I would say, whereas Denver pretty much locked in on let's stop Jonathan Taylor. You call three straight runs. Jonathan Taylor up the middle, 2 yards. Jonathan Taylor left guard, 1 yard. Jonathan Taylor up the middle, negative 2 yards. So they gained 1 yard while running all of the time off the clock and settle for a 60-yard field goal. And as you informed me later, he's never even hit, Spencer Strader's not even hit a 50-yard field goal in the NFL.
He
So
hasn't even attempted a 50-yard field goal in the NFL. And for more context there, Jim, the record for the Colts is 58 yards, the franchise record, which was 43 years ago. So you're literally asking him to do something that has not been done in your franchise's history. Are you nuts?
I can't. It's impossible to understand what he was thinking. And yet, totally bailed out. Doesn't matter. And as I was advising fans on Twitter who were upset about it. I said, listen, it's a win, and in a week or two, you're not even going to remember it. That's how memory works. That's how fun works. Like, hey, 2-0, doesn't matter how we got there. They won. So, and Sean Payton, I know came out. I think he kind of defended the call a little bit on Sunday, and then very much so on Monday. Very much said like, hey, it was the right call. I screwed this up, all
Yep.
that stuff. So I'm not even gonna say it was a bad call. It wasn't my favorite call. I don't really like that call in general, though. I understand the idea behind it, but anyway, they got bailed out. There's no doubt about it. But the story would have been they played such a good game. Shane Steichen called such a good game, at least offensively, I should say. They played such a good game that it was a waste. They just wasted it at the end. Now you get to say they got lucky at the end, but they didn't waste a really great performance by Daniel Jones in this offense.
And to Shane's credit, now, right after the game, he basically didn't explain what was going on. He
Yeah,
kept saying, well, I was worried about them potentially getting a kickoff return had we made the kick too early, and knowing that that could have been a risk. But I was thinking to myself, even then, if you make the kick and they've got 15 seconds left, give or take, trust your defense not to give up, enough yards for them to get back in field goal range. And to me, that was perhaps another example of Shane. And not saying that it happens very often, but there's been a couple of times, end of game, and you wonder if he just overthinks it. Like, for example, a couple of years ago when he had the pass play to Tyler Goodson in the flat, it's like, why wasn't JT on the field when you needed just a yard? And I think in that game, he had like over 180 rushing yards. Put him out there. Kind of similar to last year with the Broncos. You're searching for something, a jump
yeah,
start. You put the ball in the hands of one of your most questionable decision makers in A.D. Mitchell, at least at that
yeah,
time. Shout out to A.D. Mitchell. He's played better this year. I'll give him that through two
for
games.
sure.
But you put the ball in his hands to pass it, not to catch it. Horrible turnover, lose in epic fashion against the Broncos. And then obviously Sunday, you're moving in the right direction. Your quarterback is dealing, which we'll get into,
Oh
and
yeah,
you shrink. So hopefully, for the Colts' sake, that isn't a trend and something you can learn from, because usually, Jim, you learn these lessons after a loss and it stings. But again, to Sykin's credit, he did own up to it the following day, yesterday, during his Monday Zoom press conference. And we didn't have to ask him, Jim. He just came out with a statement saying, hey, you know what?
yeah.
I should have been more aggressive. We had timeouts. I should have trusted my quarterback. And he explained his reasoning a little bit. Yeah, I'm worried about the kickoff return, but you can't be so concerned about that you ultimately, like he said, put your kicker in a position where you might trust him from 60, but you don't want to put that up on a silver platter, if that makes sense. Like, for example, had they started at like the 3 yard line and you get all the way to the whatever it was, 43, and you got to kick a 60-yard field goal, and you're like, you know what? That's fine. We'll deal with that just because we ran out of time. We started way back in our own territory. I get that. No one's going to complain if you get a last second attempt in those circumstances, but to kind of again cower away from the moment, that was jarring and something that obviously would not have gone over well in Indianapolis. And so, yes, he was right to take the criticism, right to own it. But all that aside, Jim, 2-0,
2
and
0.
largely because of Daniel Jones, which I cannot say enough nice things about. I mean, early on, and again, I still get it. It's early, whatever. The 2024 Saints started 2-0. They scored so many points and they got people fired. Whatever. I don't want to hear any of that right now.
Yeah.
Can we just talk about the QB play we've seen, Jim, and perhaps what has impressed you the most about this? Because to me, this isn't game managing. This isn't dinking and dunking. This is a quarterback who right now looks like one of the best in the league.
Yeah, so I've called the waiter over and I've asked him, as you asked me, how they prepared the crow. How is it prepared? How do I have to take it? Again, I he's explaining that we're right now in the process. He's explaining to me how they prepare it, and
Yeah, I don't know. You
I'm
think smoked
gathering.
crow is good?
Yeah, I'm gathering
Smoked
myself to
or
order it.
grilled crow? Grilled crow probably sounds a little better. I don't know.
I think I told you, give me a month, two more of these, and I will
Okay.
order it and eat it and take it. But uh, to your point, I'm not. This is not going to be me like, well, but not at all. This is the only well but of this is it's only been 2 games, which fine. But like
Right.
as you said, we only have these 2 games to evaluate, and he's been dimes, right, man? He's been on the money. That I think you asked me the most impressive thing. There's a couple. It's really hard to pick one, honestly, because having watched him for, I mean, the 3 years before this in New York, he was never this accurate. He got rattled a little bit by he was not like an inaccurate passer. We're not talking about like Anthony Richardson levels of
Right.
inaccuracy or anything like that. But he was never like he's at like 70% right now. He was never like Drew Brees level of accurate either. Pressure in his face that tended to make him make some poor decisions. Made some bad throws. Now again, credit to the offensive line. They've done a really good job protecting him and giving him time. But the things that have impressed me the most are yeah, just the pure accuracy and not just like hitting the open guy, but hitting him in stride, hitting him in a place where they can carry the ball and take it upfield and take it for more yards after the catch. But honestly, it's and again, this is not something I'm not a film junkie. I watched some of this. I've watched some people break it down on Twitter and other places like that. But just some of the pre-snap stuff, just the fact that he's getting rid of the ball so quickly. I looked today, he's under 2.5 seconds still. He is delivering the ball with precision, very fast, on time, within structure and to the making all the right choices. And that's part again, that's not a backhanded like, oh, Shane Steichen's dialing it up for him. He is in some cases, but there are times where Daniel Jones is getting him in the right place and figuring out where the defense is going to be so he knows where to deliver the ball. Now, again, there have been times where you're seeing 5 and 10 yards of separation from Tyler Warren and the rest of the defense. That's great. And he is putting it on him so that he can carry it upfield. But I honestly I watched a couple of clips yesterday of him sliding in the pocket, of him moving up in the pocket, of him buying himself a little extra time and then delivering a strike. Like this is high quality quarterback play. It is starting to remind me a little bit of like the conversations you have around, it was like the Shanahan quarterbacks, right? The Brock Purdy's of the world. Oh, is he good or is he just playing in a really good system? Or the Jared Goffs of the world. And then eventually, as you started to see, like these guys are just good. Like maybe they're not MVP level good, which is like funny enough. Daniel Jones is MVP level good right now. You and I were talking before we started that his EPA per dropback is the same as Lamar Jackson right now. Again, 2 games in, but
I've always
yeah,
thought that he was basically Lamar Jackson.
yeah, no, that's what we said. They I can't believe they got him for so cheap in
I
free
mean, the
agency.
Giants,
So
what are you doing? You got rid of Lamar Jackson 2.0. Are you kidding me?
well, okay, listen, they got Russell Wilson, who's the leading passer in the NFL, so it's
This
all
is true.
good. No, I mean he's been everything they hoped for and more. Um, I didn't see it coming. I give credit to Steichen for seeing it coming, for being like, this is the guy who can run my offense and run it with precision and run it on time and run it well. And yeah, this is what I think a lot of people who supported Daniel Jones for a long time were like, could you just give him an offensive line and some real weaponry and then see what he can do? And the Giants were just never really able to do that for him. Uh, Maybe this is who he is. Maybe this is the next, like, we all kind of knew there was going to be another one, right? It was going to be Baker and Geno and Darnold. Who was going to be the next one? It might just be Daniel Jones.
Absolutely. And one point I want to make and make sure we don't miss this is the fact that he's had such good offensive line play, which
Mm-hmm.
was not the case when he was in New York. Now we know the well documented bad offensive lines he played behind, how many times he's running for his life, how many times he was just hit in general, which we all know. I mean, doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out or to understand that the more times you get hit as a quarterback, the less likely you are to play well. But to see the amount of blitzes that he's been under
Yeah,
through his first 2 weeks, because that seems to be what teams think they can do to rattle him, but
it used to
that
be.
hasn't right. But to that point, it just hasn't been the case. Largely because even under all that pressure, and even in the times when he does get hit, he's still operating for the most part in a clean pocket. So I have some numbers here for you, Jim. Daniel Jones has been blitzed on 62% of his dropbacks.
Holy
I
cow.
believe that's one of
Okay.
the highest rates in the league. However, he's only been sacked twice through 2 games. So if you were able to tell me Daniel Jones only going to get sacked 1 time per game over a 17-game season, every coach in the league would take that for their quarterback, because that to me means you're not taking a lot of negative plays. And again, you're not getting hit too much. But the point that really stood out to me was this past Sunday when he was blitzed on a career high 71.1% of his dropbacks. And again, only took 1 sack. And then against the blitz, threw for 265 yards and a touchdown. I
Yeah.
mean, it was like, okay, I trust Tanner Bortolini, the new center. I trust Matt Gonzalez, the new right guard. These guys step up for me. And I also trust the scheme that I'm in, because even the first play of the game Sunday, Jim, first play of the game, you get a guy running at you right out of the gate, hits you square in your chest, you step into the throw, and you rip it to Josh Downs for a first down.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, these are the types of throws that we're seeing from him. Now, again, they're not asking him to do this every single play because he's been well
No.
protected. But even when there is a bit of pressure, I think because of the otherwise good nature that he's in that pocket, he's not too worried about it. You see a very confident guy who's not, I mean, you talked about it, Jim. He can get rattled. He can kind of lose spatial awareness. He can
Yep.
fumble the ball, turn the ball over. That has not been the case. And it's rarely been a case where they're even taking a negative play. I mean, it's one thing to get sacked and fumble. He's not even getting sacked to the point where you're
That's
losing yards. And so
he
staying
used to get
ahead of the
sacked
chains.
all the
Yes.
time. That's like
Yes.
that was the big one. Like my problem with him wasn't even as much as a passer as it was he just took too many sacks and made too many negative plays, and now he's not doing that. And again, huge credit to him and Shane Steichen for. You're right, by the way. I looked it up as you were talking. 62% is far and away the highest blitz rate in the league for a quarter. I think Jordan Love was number 2 at 47%. So they're blitzing the hell out of Daniel Jones, and he is getting the ball out quick, and he has answers. He always seems to have. I mean, again, I'd have to look at the play, but I'm pretty sure that swing pass to Jonathan Taylor for the touchdown was just a blitz. It's just a blitz recognition. I'm going to swing it out there, let him go in space, and bam, touchdown. Like it's just
Exactly.
he is always again combination of Shane Steichen and Daniel Jones on this one. They have answers to when people are blitzing them. I wonder too if people are going to stop. Like this was kind of the thing you used to do with like Lamar Jackson, where they just blitzed and blitzed and blitzed him because he couldn't figure it out, and then eventually he did, and you had to stop. I mean, I'm looking at right now, like Josh Allen has the highest EPA against the blitz right now. I don't know why people are blitzing Josh Allen. Stop it.
I mean, you try
But
anything against Josh Allen to their to their
yeah.
to their credit.
But no, I mean he's getting to the point now where blitzing him doesn't even make sense. He's just handling it too well. The Colts are handling it too well. I don't know if this transitions us into our maybe the next thing, but like
Yes.
there was a couple of there were a couple of clips I saw yesterday of Jonathan Taylor with some excellent blitz pickups that has not been his MO in the past. Like he's not to say he was always bad in pass
No.
protection, but he was never that great. One of the big reasons they took him off the field on third downs, his pass protection wasn't great. There was a couple of blitz pickups there that I thought he did a great job with, along with giving the offensive line, along with helping out the offensive line and giving Daniel Jones good protection. But that is part of it. When you're trying to deal with the blitz, you have to be able to count on your running backs and your tight ends to pick it up and identify it along with the offensive line. And they're getting that from Jonathan Taylor right now, along with the fact that no one's talking about it. He's the leading rusher in the NFL right now.
And I was going to ask you that because we were talking before we started recording, and I'm like, yeah, I'm throwing out all these Daniel Jones facts, like, oh, he's first in the league in passing, he's sixth in completion percentage, he's this number, that number, and then you go, oh, by the way, did you see JT? He's leading the league in rushing. And I'm like, what? So, to your point about how well Daniel Jones has played, the protection he's got, the scheme that he's in with Shane Steichen, it all works as well because you have so many playmakers. And I'll start with JT, and then we can kind of pivot to Tyler Warren, who again had another great performance for this team. But JT, I mean, we're looking at a guy who I believe is playing his best football. Now, I get it's only 2 games into the season, but when you factor in, like you said, Jim, the pass protection, and I can remember a couple of plays last year and even the year before that where you're just wondering, how can a guy this talented, this smart be this bad in pass blocking? You're seeing him. I mean, fill the hole, whack linebackers, and just give Daniel Jones just enough time. Perfect example was the deep ball down the sideline to Alec Pierce in that game. That play, if you go back and watch it, you all listening, it doesn't work if JT doesn't slide over and hammer this linebacker who, if he misses that block, that's a sack. That's a fumble. That's an interception, whatever the case may be, if you are not there on time and on target with your block. So that's been huge. And then also, let's not forget, he is one of the best backs in the league. The jump cut he had in the fourth quarter to spring that 68 yarder, my goodness. I mean, that is what I call a great player making you right because that play call wasn't the best. I mean, there was like a free runner that he just made miss. And after that, it was JT magic. And he was able to, make a couple more guys miss, get to the second level. And luckily, the Broncos had somewhat of an angle because usually when JT gets a hole like that, he's gone. I might even, kind of throw some shame on him when I see him this week and ask him what happened. How'd you get chased down? You're supposed to be in the end zone. What's going on?
Yeah, just real quick. When I watched that play, I was like, man, I think it was Talanoa Hufanga that caught him, who
Yeah.
is a great safety, but coming off an injury, and I was like, he's as fast as Jonathan Taylor. And then later we hear Jonathan Taylor hit what, like almost 24 miles an hour on that play. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna give Hufanga more credit than I am gonna dock
Yeah.
Jonathan
So
Taylor.
apparently, I think the play you're referencing, Jim, was actually that wheel route that he
That
had
we,
on
oh, I'm
the
sorry, yeah,
43-yard reception. So he was like super fast on that play. And I mean, look, I'm nitpicking again, right? Oh, I'm sorry you weren't at 23 miles per hour. Perhaps you were at 22, But nevertheless, huge run, huge game for him. Buck 65 on the ground, over 200 yards of offense himself. And again, that to me is what you dream of. It's the ideal situation. And it's kind of reminiscent of the success that Daniel Jones had in New York, where he had a great year from Saquon Barkley, looking at what could be a great year for JT, and you're able to build on that and obviously eke out a win over the Broncos in crazy fashion. But again, you're not in that position if you don't have JT doing what he's doing. And I think even some of the pass catching stuff that we've seen, Jim, we've never seen JT utilize this much as a pass catcher out of the backfield. And at least not to this effectiveness. I mean, every catch that he makes these days, it seems like it's going for 15, 20, 30, 40 yards a pop. And so that to me is another element where you get the ball to your best players in space, what good things can happen. And so that's what's going to lead me to my next point. I mean, what else is there for Tyler Warren to prove to you?
nothing.
What was your impression of the guy who, oh, by the way, is leading the league in tight end receiving yards right now?
Well, it's funny because I think you and I talked about God. They have the leading rusher, the leader in tight end receiving yards right now, and the second leading passer in the NFL. This Colts offense is just, I mean, humming, unbelievable.
It's crazy.
Um, the thing about we talked about before this, and you wrote in your story last week, was that I kind of thought they might have to run the offense through Tyler Warren, and just because of how good the Broncos DBs were, and they beat, I just want to mention before we get into Warren, they beat Pat Surtain multiple times. The reigning defensive MVP multiple times. Pittman beat him, I think, on a couple of plays. So,
Yep.
anyway,
Warren
credit
beat
to
him
that
on a play
because
as well.
yeah, you're right. I kind of thought it was going to have to be more Warren than we got, just because of the way Pat Surtain and some of the other DBs were going to play. But to your question, I just the ways they can deploy him, and again, the fact that he can just open up the middle of the field in a way that the Colts haven't had, and it's very clear to me that Shane Steichen has been like, thank God I finally have this guy. Like, thank God. Like, it's nice. I can do a little bit of here with Kylan Granson. I can do a little bit here with Mo Alley Cox. I can do a little bit here with Drew Ogletree, but like, can't do it all. Can't do it all. That all I want
Exactly.
to do with these tight ends, and Tyler Warren is that guy who can do it all. Obviously, still coming along as a blocker, but man, I still think. I mean, he's had some great run blocking reps recently too, and mean like I finishing plays like I don't even know how to answer your question. I don't know what is there left to see from Tyler Warren. Not to say that he's already like the best tight end in football. I'm not going there yet, but in terms of just being the real deal, the full package, can do everything, can open up the offense over the middle of the field, can run the ball if you need him to. Though I know he got tripped up on that little carry. He could do. I mean, he could do it all. This was And I know people are loving the comparisons to Colson Loveland in Chicago because he has not done as much. So it's looking, it's
Yeah, 2 game
eh,
referendums out there, man. It's
for
tough to
sure.
live that
But
down. But so far, yeah, I can see why they feel that way.
no, to your point, I was just gonna say in the story that you have coming, like it's just another feather in the cap of Chris Ballard from this offseason. I mean, so many of the decisions that he has made. We don't have to get into this because people can read about it on the Athletic later on. But some of them have paid. I mean, we already talked about Daniel Jones. That's paid off in a huge way. Now we're talking about Tyler Warren. That's paid off in a huge way. And again, like I feel like the Colts and Ballard don't get the credit they deserve for Warren because it felt like a foregone conclusion for like 3 months that they were going to take him. Like
Right.
every mock draft with Tyler Warren, Tyler Warren, Tyler Warren. But like, listen, it takes some guts to take a tight end as high as they. Most people don't. You don't take tight ends that high typically. I know Chris Ballard doesn't. Chris Ballard doesn't like taking tight ends that high. He likes taking offensive linemen, defensive linemen, and
Right.
so it was a risky pick in that regard. And again, just like everything else he's been doing this offseason, it's paying off.
Absolutely. And I cannot emphasize enough that to me, Jim, and even having conversation with Mo Ali Cox, who's been here for a very long time, obviously plays the tight end position, but even hearing his thoughts, because I had a chance to talk to him last Friday, and he was walking out, and I was like, hey, I just got a couple questions for you, but like, what are we witnessing right now with this tight end? And this was before, obviously, Sunday's game.
Yeah,
And Mo was like, not in so many words, that's what a tight end one looks like. And this is a guy who's been in the league for a long time, and Mo is very secure. He's not going to be up there like, "What about me?" He's like, "No, I understand." He's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
"This is your future tight end. This is what a franchise cornerstone looks like." And one of the things that he said was he's not surprised by Tyler Warren's ability to do these things, but perhaps it's just the amount of things he's doing already, if that makes sense. Like obviously, when you draft a guy, you see him in the room with you, you're working with him, you understand like what his skill set could be. But the fact that Tyler Warren's floor is this is very exciting for the Colts and obviously for the fan base because I always think of it like this, Jim. Like, assuming he stays healthy, if this is the worst version of Tyler Warren that we see, the most inexperienced version, the less knowledgeable version, just because he hasn't played enough games that we see, I mean, what could he be? And so, again, I feel like that was a home run draft pick, an easy draft pick, and honestly, it felt like it was too good to be true to a degree because as a Colts fan, I'd imagine you're waiting for the other foot to drop. A lot of the time, like okay, everyone's saying Tyler Warren's going to come to the Colts. Who's going to draft him before us? Okay, and you get him, and Shane Steichen unleashes him. So even one of the plays that he had in that Broncos game, going back to it, he had a crosser that he caught, Jim, where he was actually to start the play lined up in the backfield, and then slips out, slips behind both linebackers, and they hit him in stride for a huge gain. So the amount of like, I don't want to call it gadgety plays, but just like unique plays that they're able to do and build around with Tyler Warren is very, very impressive and something that you can't, overlook or really overstate because I feel like, hey, this is a guy who, again, was a playmaker in college, one of the best tight end seasons you will ever see at that level, and now you're
yeah.
seeing him translated immediately. Not so. I guess my next question, going forward, Jim, before we pivot to the defensive side of the ball, is just when do defenses start to treat him like a number one option? Because to be honest, through the first 2 games, he's been the Colts' focal point of the passing game. I know that Michael Pittman Jr. had like a bigger day in week 1, but when you look at some of the bread and butter throws that they're making, some of the stuff they're doing with Tyler Warren, I don't think this entire offense looks the way that it does if he's not on the field.
Yeah, so the cool part about this is I don't think they can. Like I obviously you can do things to try to take away Tyler Warren. And I think kind of we saw with the Dolphins, we talked a lot about that play where Tyler Warren takes the safety with him and opens up
Yeah.
Pittman. Like so he's already kind of getting some of that attention. But I think this just speaks to the receiving core. Man, I feel like I'm just talking up Chris Ballard right now. The receiving core that he's built, like you have Tyler Warren right now. I mentioned I wrote this down because it wasn't part of our original script, but I had circled Alec Pierce. Like we had to mention him. I mean, like the guy. Does he just catch every deep ball now? Is that just like a thing? It's just a lock at
I
this
was gonna
point.
say that. I know people say like, and I was debating this on the radio on 107.5 The Fan with Kevin Bowen, and he was saying the same thing as you. But I was taking it a step further or trying to explain this. This is why you get your own podcast, people, because you get all the airtime
Ah.
you want. But the way that I look at it is I understand that Alec Pierce led the league in yards per reception last year. I think it was around 23 yards per catch. But it's the way that he's catching these footballs. This isn't necessarily like Tyreek Hill. I'm just going to beat you deep, catch it, and just be gone. Almost every time he goes deep, it's not like he's catching it and breaking free for a touchdown. It's him being draped on by a guy or being blanketed by a guy, and he finds a way to win it. Because even the catch that he had this past Sunday, that was, I believe, for about 30 or 40 yards, that play in itself was a pass interference. So either way, they were going to get the yards. He just came down with it anyway. And I think his ability to hand fight, use his shoulders, use his leverage. There's that word again in the Colts' favor, I might add, where he's able to, win those battles. That's impressive stuff. And honestly, I think it makes him one of the more unique receivers in the league, and certainly somebody that the Colts will have decisions to make on come next offseason because he'll be a free agent. I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, but boy, I trust him so much when it comes to just making a play that can flip the field, flip the momentum. He's good for that. And honestly, as a quarterback, you got to be thinking like, as long as I don't overthrow this guy, I'll have a chance.
I honestly like it's such an important thing for him to have come down with that ball early in his relationship with Daniel Jones because Daniel Jones is now going to be like one on one. Yeah, I'll throw that. I'll throw that to Alec Pierce, like
Exactly.
because he knows what's going to happen, and it's going to be a catch. Like to get to your earlier point though about Warren getting the like the TE1 treatment, the number one pass catcher treatment from
Yeah.
defense. I just don't think they can like. Pierce has developed into a not only a deep threat guy who stretches the field, like all the things we talked about, complimentary about him a year or two ago, where we thought, well, if this is what he does, if he's just like a field stretching guy who carries the safeties with him, that's useful. He can be a good blocker too. But now, I mean, we talked about it at the beginning of the show, like he caught that 7 yard pass on 3rd and 6. That was him running across the middle that caught a huge first down for the Colts at the end of the game. Or yeah, at the end of the game, he can do more. Josh Downs quietly had a really nice game. He led the team in targets with 8. He had 6 catches, 51 yards. I thought he looked really, really good, looked
Yep.
healthy. Um, Pittman was 4 for 40, was kind of quiet. Like, I mean, at least in terms of, for Pittman standards. AD Mitchell had 2 for 20. Like, I just, and as you mentioned, Jonathan Taylor's catching more passes. Like,
But
I
again,
don't know how
as you
you,
rattle it off, you're
yeah,
naming 5, 6, 7 guys. And
I
if
don't know
all of
how
them
you
have
focus on
two, three,
one.
four catches, then like that's a great offense.
Exactly. This is the offense that Chris Ballard had envisioned, and I think Shane Steichen wanted is to spread the wealth. It's kind of like a lot of people talk about this with the Packers. There's no true number one target. They
Yeah.
just spread the wealth around. Now there are games where a guy like Tucker Kraft goes bananas, and I'm sure there'll be games where Tyler Warren goes bananas, or Pittman, or Downs, or AD Mitchell, or
Hmm.
any of these guys will go bananas and have huge games. But I think the overall point right now is that this team's hard to guard. They're just if the offensive line is going to be good, and Jonathan Taylor is going to be great, like leading the NFL in rushing, great. This is going to be a hard offense to stop. And again, I feel like this is me just backhand, no matter who the quarterback is. But Daniel Jones is doing such a good job of getting the right plays and getting the ball out to the right people and with precision. So it's not a surprise when you look at how well everybody's playing right now that this offense is performing that the way that they do. Now, it was a surprise if you'd asked me, is this what's going to happen? If you asked me a month ago, I would have been like, hell no, they're not going to be the number one offense in football right now in 2 weeks in. But what we've seen from this team and the way Warren has helped unlock things, as healthy as Jonathan Taylor looks and as good as he's gotten in some of the other areas of the field where he needed to get better, it it's all coming together, man. Like again, it's too I don't want to say like Super Bowl Colts, but like they look it doesn't look fluky right now. It just
Right.
doesn't there's not lucky bounces happening for them in terms of the way the offense is producing. I know they got a lucky break at the end of the game, but the way the ball is bouncing for them on offense isn't lucky. They're just beating people. That was a good defense the Broncos had. Like we have to stress that was a defense people thought could be the number one defense in football going into the year. Probably still
Absolutely.
finishes the top 5
Oh,
defense,
I was
and
gonna
they just
say,
ripped them apart.
yeah, they're gonna be, in my opinion, probably a top 5 unit. They were a top 5 unit last year as well, and brought back a lot of those players. And to pivot to the Colts defense, now they were lights out in week 1, took a noticeable step back, obviously, this past Sunday against the Broncos, giving up those 28 points. But to me, I'll start with the positive. Cam Bynum again, big
Hmm.
time interception. Now, I don't know what Bo Nix was thinking on that play there in the fourth quarter because that took points off the board for them. They get those points, perhaps they hang on and eke out a win, and then you're forcing the Colts to have to go down the field and score a touchdown versus having to kick a field goal to beat you. So that interception there, I thought that gave the Colts some very good new life when they needed it the most because they needed something to flip that game in their favor because to that point, it kind of been like tit for tat, whoever has the ball last type of thing is going to win. And ultimately, the Colts did have the ball last and they did win. But I thought Cam Bynum, I mean, he's been as good as advertised. It's like if you make a mistake, I am going to make you pay. I was watching the Monday night game last night where Levante David had the uh, potential interception on CJ Stroud across the middle, drops an easy pick. Ain't no dropping stuff with Cam Bynum. If you throw it in his area and it's off target and he's got a chance,
Yep.
he's bringing it down. And so, again, was it the greatest interception I've ever seen in my life? No, but it was still a great play. But I will say, the celebration might have been the greatest I've seen so far. That was some. I'm fascinated by how the brain of Cam Bynum works because the guy is such a great football player and he's vicious and he's physical and he's like a nasty defender. But then he's like also the guy who sticks the ball underneath his jersey and then like belly thrusts with blue. So, I mean, I don't know. You got young kids. They're really young. So I'm like maybe a little bit older. Do you show them the game film and you tell them, hey, we start getting
This
to
is
Pee Wee
it.
football. This is what I got to see, and Pops will be proud of you. Like, I don't know, Jim, what was your interpretation of the play, the celebration, but also the impact of that guy in this new look defense?
Yeah, man, they needed a playmaker in that defense. They just did. I don't think they've really had a true like I'm gonna go get the ball type of guy since Shaq Leonard was Shaq Leonard. Like
Mm-hmm.
that was when you needed a play. Shaq could usually figure out something to go get one, or at least that was the guy you rely on to go get one. And they have one now in Cam Bynum. It seems like not to say that he's going to be an All Pro like Shaq Leonard was, but he just has a nose for the ball. Like I think I wish I had the play queued up, but I know Bo Nix was under a little bit of duress. He looked like he dropped his arm angle a little bit, try to fit that thing in, and
Yeah.
Cam Bynum just, I mean, like you said, he's not going to drop it. I'm surprised. Honestly, the way he is with the ball in his hands too, I'm surprised he doesn't score every time he gets the pick too. Just because like he's still jitterbuggy and he's good. I just feel like the adrenaline rush is insane for that guy. So no, I mean, I was looking at the defensive stats, as we were talking. Yeah, they didn't, 206 yards for Bo Nix, 3 touchdowns. J.K. Dobbins had 7, like they ran for 118 yards as a team. Like it wasn't the best defensive performance for the Colts, but like when you kind of dive into it a little bit more, it really like they were picking on Xavier Howard a lot. Mekhi Blackman was playing a lot, obviously because of how dinged up the Colts are in the
Yeah.
secondary
No
without
Travarius
Travis Ward
Ward.
and Jalen Jones. Like
Yeah.
I just think I don't want to like excuse it, but I kind of chalk it up to that. Is on like Sean Payton's good at his job. He can pick at things like when you have Xavier Howard out there who's not, you know, the Xavier Howard of old, he's gonna pick at it. And he did. So that happens. I'm not super concerned about what I saw defensively, at least from the secondary in this game, and obviously very encouraged what I saw from Cam Bynum.
Yeah. I will say two things. I am a bit concerned because with X, you are relying on him to be a starter.
Yeah.
Even if Travarius Ward is comes back next week, ideally you would think, okay, my three stars are going to be Kenny Moore, Javarius Ward, and Xavier Howard. But I thought the Broncos did what other teams should have done, what the Dolphins should have done, and what other teams probably will do, is test Xavier Howard's long speed. They weren't doing a bunch of like, okay, we're going to just let you, you know, we're going to throw a wheel route, we're going to throw a bubble
Yeah.
screen and hope that we can beat you. They were like, you know what? This guy hasn't played in over a year. We're going to test his legs. And he got burned on the touchdown, got picked on another drive in the second quarter, I believe, where he had 3 penalties on 5 plays, two
Yeah.
pass interference, a holding. That to me was him showing some of that age. And maybe well, not even a maybe, he's not at that all pro level anymore.
No.
So that to me was a little concerning, just given that you don't have again Jalen Jones to step in for you. If you were to kind of toggle or change things, do you go with Mekhi Blackman? Do you go with Jonathan Edwards, the undrafted rookie? So that would be something I keep an eye on. I know that we've heard Lou Anarumo is like really big on accountability and not caring about people's resumes and being hard on guys. But we've also heard that he likes his veterans. And so I wonder if this were to have a repeat performance, the Titans might not be the best barometer for that because I mean, their offense has been a mess, which was
Yeah.
kind of expected.
Yeah.
But let's say again, the Rams in week 4, if
Mm.
Xavier Howard is getting exposed by Puka Nakua or by Devontae Adams. I mean, and it's very obvious that it's not just these guys being talented. It's, oh, we're just going to go with whatever this guy is, whoever he's covering, we'll throw it at him. That might be something to reconsider moving forward. And also the pass rush. Pass rush, I didn't see enough of it. Jim, I get that Laiatu wasn't available,
That's
but
yeah,
but
that's part
even
of it.
then, I'm like, man, you guys got to bring a little bit more pressure. Mainly because this is a team where Chris Ballard has, prided himself on investing in the depth of the defensive line and believing that these guys can make an impact. So I'm a little concerned there. And then the last point about the defense, which again is just 2 games, but through 2 games, they're giving up 5.4 yards per carry. And that is not the Colts that we knew. At least, I
No.
mean, granted, Gus Bradley's defense was pretty rough. It wasn't that bad against the run. A lot of it was like in space, tackling, covers, things like that. But with Grover Stewart, DeForest Buckner in the trenches, I am a bit concerned that they're able to, other teams that is, pop off these runs where they're able to basically have a second and third and short almost every time if they run the ball against you. So that's something to keep in mind, at least going into week 3 at Tennessee. Again, you might not get the best test for that, best barometer.
Yeah.
However, I am a little bit, let's just say my antennas have gone up a little bit about that. And I wonder if any of that has to do with some of the linebacker play that we've seen. I haven't seen like the best tackling from that unit. Excuse me. So again, that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the numbers, you're right. They only have 12 pressures on the season. That's 31st. They're dead last in pressure rate for the year. I want to chalk it up a little bit to Broncos have a good offensive line. They really do.
That's true.
Bo Nix typically does try to get the ball out fast. And no Leatu Latu. So there's a lot of things working against them there. Maybe I'm just in a generous mood. They're 2-0. I'm feeling nice. I'm gonna excuse this. I'm gonna excuse that. I'm complimenting Daniel Jones. Like, yeah, I don't know what's going.
I
Yeah,
don't
it's
blame
just
you. I don't blame you.
yeah. But I do. I want to give it a couple more games on the pass rush. I know they got the guy, like they got the horses, right? Like there's some guys that
Yeah.
can do damage. They're not going to be a top 5 pass rusher or anything like that, but I do think that they can get there in waves. That's kind of the whole idea with this thing. So once they get Leatu Latu back, they should be good. And also for Cam Bynum, or Cam Bynum, I did it. I did your thing. Poor Cam Ward is what I meant to say. I did the Cam Bynum, Cam Ward thing. Poor Cam Ward. That dude has just been getting attacked for the first 2 games of his career. And so if the Colts need to get healthy in the pressure and sack department, could come this week
Yeah.
against Cam Ward.
I'm very curious to see how this game looks for the Colts because to me, this is a let's get right game. Like our defense, we might have lost a little bit of our swagger last week. Let's go out there and crush them this week and show them, that okay, if you are indeed a bad team, this is what we do to bad teams. We're going to make sure that we put you
Yeah.
away. And so again, that is something to keep in mind. Also, I'm curious on the injury front for Javarius Ward. Oftentimes, when a guy has a concussion, they'll miss at least 1 game. We'll get some updates later this week, and I'll bring them to you, obviously, at The Athletic. And I would expect Ward, barring anything crazy, to be back out there in week 3 against the Titans. With Leatu, I'm almost a little more cautious, Jim, because I'm just thinking to myself, hey, it's a hamstring. You kind of went backwards on the injury report last week.
Yep.
Is it worth the risk, especially knowing in week 4 you probably want to get after, Matthew Stafford out in LA. So is it worth holding him out 1 more week and surviving? Because let's be honest, if you can't beat the Titans without Leatu Latu, I mean, what are we talking about here? All
Yeah.
that goodwill I just gave you for the last 45 minutes, me and Jim, out here, as the kids say, glazing you and giving all this praise and props. I had to take it all back if you lose against the Titans. So it is, I will say, a great time to be a Colts fan because they're in first place in the AFC South. Houston is now 0-2, Jim. And
Yep.
so it makes Sunday a very pivotal game. Not necessarily the opponent. I get it's a divisional game and all that.
No,
but
yeah.
it's just the ability to, one, pick up a division win, your first one of the season, but also continue to widen that gap and put stress on everybody else. Because, again, if the Colts continue to play like this, you're putting pressure and that margin of error on the Texans in particular continues to get smaller. I mean, the Texans don't have much more wiggle room to work with at this point. They got to start winning some games, mind you, and they haven't played the Colts yet. So life is great right now. Everything is sunshine and rainbows. When I walked out this morning to do the radio show, I was thinking, man, If I see Daniel Jones on a bicycle downtown, I wouldn't be surprised. If he's signing autographs outside of, Gainbridge Fieldhouse, Lucas Oil Stadium, I wouldn't be surprised. I walked past the Peyton Manning statue the other day, and I was thinking, man, I was sizing it up like, Daniel Jones is about the same height. Put him on this corner. So it's
Yeah.
been fun.
There's room. There's room. Yeah.
Look, I mean, you're not ordering the crow just yet.
Not yet.
Hell, I'm eating it already. Like, I mean, what? I could not have expected that Daniel Jones would look this good. And the last point I'll make is it was, and credit to Stephen Holder of ESPN, he got Daniel to open up just a little bit, Jim, after that game. And it probably was a line of questioning because Stephen, the veteran, was just blunt. He said, look, man, we all know there were doubts about you. You know there were doubts about you. Does any part of you feel better about this? And he kind of said something along the lines of, maybe, probably just a little bit. And I was like, that right there, like, he's just a little human in there. And part of him is probably thinking like, to the Giants, take that. And to James Boyd and company, take that. So the vibes are high, Jim. Vibes are high.
I can't imagine a better start. And I was getting to your point. I mean, if they beat the Titans, the Jags and Texans play each other this week, so they're gaining a game on one of those teams.
Exactly.
If Houston goes down again, that's a 3-game lead that the Colts have built. And even if they win, they're still up 2 games, and Jacksonville's down to 1-2. Who, I mean, I think they're kicking themselves right now for not being able to beat the Bengals after Joe Burrow went down.
Exactly.
So, no, I mean, this is as good as Colts fans have had it in quite a long time. Obviously, I was thinking back to the Andrew Luck years, thinking about the optimism around that. Obviously, they went to conference championship game and things like that. So there's times, I guess, in the recent past where you felt better, but in terms of starts to the season, man, like, it doesn't get better than this. Like, this is not only are they 2-0, but they're not grinding out. This isn't like, this is a bad example, I guess, but it's not like the Chiefs who were last year winning 1-score games, 17-16, 20-17 with a grinding out. This offense is high flying and fun. Like, they are one of the most fun teams to watch in the NFL right now. And I didn't expect that. I'll take the crow for that one. Like, I didn't expect it, and they are a joy to watch right now. So I enjoy it, Colts fans, truly, because you don't get this every year. A lot of teams are way more, they're not as fun, they're disappointments, whatever. Colts fans right now have been probably the biggest fun surprise in the NFL.
Absolutely. So on that note, we will catch up with you all next week. The first road trip is coming up. I'll be hopping in the car and driving over to Nissan Stadium over in Nashville for this game. And actually, crazily enough, I drove a Nissan Titan to that stadium last year. I was supposed to get a rental car, Jim. That was an economy car. And they told me all they had was this huge truck. So me and my buddy Nate Atkins, who, by the way, congrats to him, joining the Athletic over on the Rams side. I'll see him in about 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
And we rode down in a Nissan Titan. And I thought, how serendipitous is this? I'm in a Nissan Titan outside of Nissan Stadium, and the Colts are playing the Titans. Like, it was one of the weirdest things ever. So
the Colts win?
They did win that game. That was
then you got to do. Colts fans are gonna say you got to do it again. Yeah.
So I'll request the big gas guzzler on the way down there, and I see if they can move to 3-0. So for those of you all listening, thank you so much for your time. You can get the James Boyd podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and we will check in with you all next week after a trip down Broadway.